Hello there. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to my podcast, Sacred Soul Sisters. My name is Justina. I am an Usui Holy Fire and Angel Reiki Master with over 20 years of practice, and I'm your host. I can't wait to let others feel the love of community and remind us of the importance of coming together instead of coming apart. Now let's take a deep breath together in through our nose and a long exhale out of our mouth. This is my intentions in a poem to set the tone for our sacred soul sister community. Here you go. Welcome, dear soul, to this sacred space where all are embraced with love and grace. From every land, from near and far, no matter who you are, you're a star. Feel the warmth, the light, the peace. Let your spirit find release. Here we gather, hearts aligned, to uplift, to heal, to realign. Breathe in deeply, feel your glow. Let your light expand and flow. As I pour into you with love so true, your cup overflows, your soul renews. Together we rise, in love we stand, lifting vibrations hand in hand. A mission of light, a journey divine. Thank you for sharing your soul with mine. Welcome to the Sacred Soul Sisters space, a home of love and sacred embrace. I'm so glad you're here. Hello. Welcome, beautiful souls, to another heart-expanding episode of the Sacred Soul Sisters podcast. I am your host, Justina Sharp. I'm a Reiki master, intuitive healer, and guide for those ready to return to their light. And today's conversation is one that will stir something deep within you. I am beyond honored to introduce our radiant guest, my friend. Oh my goodness, she's amazing. Jenna Smith, a gifted root cause therapy practitioner, a Reiki master, instinctive meditation teacher. Jenna's work is rooted in deep emotional release, nervous system healing, and energetic alignment. Through her soul-led business, Naturally Empowered Living, she supports women in breaking free from generational cycles and rediscovering who they truly are beneath the noise. Jenna doesn't just speak about healing, she embodies it. With intuitive depth, a trauma-informed heart, and a rebellious spirit that invites you to think and live differently, she reminds us that true transformation begins when we honor all parts of ourselves, both the light and the shadow. So settle in, open your heart, and join us for this intimate conversation about authenticity, emotional freedom, and the sacred path of becoming whole. Jenna, I am so freaking excited that you are here today. Oh, welcome.
I'm already crying. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, the honor and just, yeah, the pleasure is all mine.
You are so incredible. And who I turn to for sessions myself. And you're just incredible. Life changer.
Oh, golly.
If you could take a minute and tell us a little bit about your journey and what called you into this deep healing work.
Oh my gosh, how far back do we start, right? The onion, right, of life. I just like as a whole, as the umbrella, going back to when we're little, right? We don't understand life. We're like going with the flow, or we all have different experiences. And I am someone that learned at a very, very, very young age the importance of self love and self trust and honoring all parts of myself, because I was like the exact opposite. Because I didn't love myself, because I would be so hard on myself, and the self sabotage, and I struggled with an eating disorder, and I turned to alcohol, and I really didn't honor the good, the messy, the rebel, the loving, the anxious, like all those pieces of us. And I struggled a lot growing up with minimal worth, and just allowing like the pressures and the external expectations and the shoulds to mold me into feeling like I just wasn't enough, or I would settle into that people pleasing because I needed to feel that validation or feel good enough. And I just mentioned I did more harm to my body than good. I struggled with an eating disorder all through college, and it was that sense of control. Now like looking back, a lot of that reflection that the work that I, done in the years past from that point of my life, it was a lot of that control that I was looking for. And the more, education that I do now, like working with people struggling with eating disorders, that is a big piece a lot of the time is that control. And I, thinking back, this just popped into my head. I like to always share this example because like think of if you have children or when you were little yourself, like you'd have those music recitals, right? In grade school,
Mm-hmm.
elementary. I would be the one that wouldn't go on stage and I would just be sobbing because I didn't want to get on stage in front of people. And like the teachers would like call for my parents and like that is still told at family events. So like it still cycles through my mind. Now I know like there's so much depth behind that, but I mean, then, put yourself into a 5-year-old, 10-year-old teenager, adolescent, and I took it all as like emotions are bad. Like crying for me, I couldn't cry, and crying is still today. I didn't cry for years, but now, presently, like crying is the easiest form of release for me. But
Mm-hmm.
back, growing up, it's like I just thought I couldn't cry. I thought I don't know what this emotion, what this big feeling is and what's within me, but obviously releasing it or processing it this way must not be right. And
Right.
I struggled for decades, 2 decades with alcohol and just, numbing those edges with, because the anxiety was too high, or I would, feel a certain feeling and I'm like, well, I don't know how to get rid of it. So, alcohol would just kind of bring it down a little bit and numb that feeling a little bit. And, yeah, so I feel like motherhood really is what cracked me wide open. And I feel like it's very common, right?
Amen, sister.
You become a mom and you're like, whoa, what is life, right? And it was that. Like I struggled with the postpartum, depression, the anxiety, just like that blur of probably, the first year, probably, becoming a mom. And that's actually I've had many light bulbs within my journey of life to kind of this is your opportunity to wake up, and I didn't take it,
Right.
didn't take it. And then becoming a mom, I was finally like, okay, whoa, like what's going on. And that was with my first, and then with my second I actually had a physical like um awakening, if you will. Like I remember one evening, both of my kids, my husband was bathing them, and I like went into this trance. And to me in that moment it was like I was in somewhere else. I wasn't in my house, and I like had this tunnel and I was like trying to get through this tunnel, and I saw the light at the end, and and I would like come out of it and then I would go back in, and it was just this beautiful, now is what I would call it. But then it was very scary. I was
Right.
and then like being in this physical, obviously human experience, my husband seeing me, he's like, you just cried. You were just crying on the stairs. You were crying in the living room. I just wanted to like keep the kids away from you because I didn't know what was going on, but I didn't want them to see. Like it was just this weird.
Right.
But I will never forget the next morning when I woke up. I'm looking out my window right now. I woke up and I remember seeing the trees outside my bedroom window, and like everything was crisper. Like I actually do have
Mm.
LASIK. Like that's the one comparison
Mm-hmm.
I could give. Like when you or like have glasses, take your glasses off, put your glasses on. Like it's just so clear.
Hello, beautiful souls. Will you do me a huge favor? If you go to angelreikijourney.com, if you can scroll down and go to subscribe to newsletter and put your email in there. That way, anytime I have an event, whether it's going to be live, in person, or on Zoom, you have that information at your fingertips and you'll receive that in the newsletter. I don't spam you. I send out a newsletter letter once a month. I'll send out something else if something really cool and amazing is happening. Otherwise, also make sure to check your spam folder and convert that over to your inbox if for some reason it is going to spam. But so also some really cool things happening. I am working on, getting the courage to be on TikTok. Yes, I can't believe it. Also, a YouTube channel Spirit made me sign up for about, well, it was 2012, however long ago that was, which feels like 100 years ago. Anyway, they are working on me to get the podcast uploaded over there too, and some other videos and workshops that we're working on behind the scenes. So excited. Return to the episode and have a great day.
And that next morning, I remember um, I must have dropped my kids off. My youngest wasn't old enough she didn't go to daycare yet. So I must have dropped my oldest off to daycare. My youngest was in the back seat. And I just remember like sobbing, like, in just like, what was that last night? And I started hearing all these like voices, like, you're a healer, you're a healer. And all like the floodgates opened. And from that point on, it was just like, a lot of fear, a lot of curiosity, a lot of like, what is this? Because I also grew up Christian, Catholic, and it's like the dogma of so much within religion,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, I still believe in God and I have a very good connection with, higher power and things like that. But it was very much that dogmatic piece that I was scared of. Like, what can of worms am I opening?
Right.
Like the spiritual warfare is, I guess, how I could
Mm-hmm.
describe that. So, insert the past, 5+ years on this journey. But I mean, it's just been a beautiful unfolding. I mean, I got into energy healing to begin with, and then meditation is what saved me actually postpartum. I didn't know what meditation was, but I learned like, oh, this is what I was doing. I'd be nursing my son, and I would just like go in this trance and like just cycle through thoughts and the day and this and that. And I learned then that meditation isn't just about silencing your mind. It's about, allowing what's meant to be to kind of process and come up. So, yeah, I got certified in instinctive meditation, and then something that voice was like, this is it, but it's not all of it. Like there's one more piece to that puzzle, and root cause therapy is that somatic, trauma informed imprint that kind of makes my whole.
It's so incredible. You are just so gifted at what you do, and I'm so grateful that this world has you. I mean, I'm so grateful. You often talk about somatic emotional release and subconscious healing, but what does that process or those processes look like for someone just starting their healing journey? So they come to you and they realize that there's a lot of beliefs that they have going on, and they're not quite sure if something is wrong with them. I
Yeah.
think that's often what people come to right away. They're like, "What's wrong with me?" What what do you say to someone in that situation?
Yeah, oh my gosh, such a good question. It really is like starting with that pause. Like, okay, we are here. Let's bring awareness to where we are in this moment. If I'm in a situation with someone talking to them, because so often we get so bogged down with what we should be doing, what someone else's needs are, what's going on, what's expected of me, maybe even not even communicated expectations, the expectations that we're putting on ourselves from something external. It's all that external stuff to where let's bring it back inside. And
Mhm.
that's that first step that I work a lot with my clients is that awareness piece. Yes, that awareness with what we're struggling with. Yes, that awareness of what you're, actually going through. If you struggle with anxiety, if you struggle with, XYZ, but to bring that awareness, and then, okay, how can we connect with ourselves to now, process through? Because to paint like this picture is we all live complex lives. We're all busy. We all live go go go, right? Like one of my
Yeah.
goals, right, is always like I'm going to choose the slowdown. I'm going to choose the quiet because so often like there's always a million things going on. And another thing is we've all been through hardships. We've all had some sort of trauma imprint or compounded stuck emotions or events that we weren't able to process. And we've all had different upbringings. Like we're all so different, but to the core, it's all paralleled in terms of we're all made up of energy, right? We are all made up of energy, and with that are our emotions, and is that energy that possibly compounds. And I really, coming from like that, now like the process, the approach is to be able to bring that awareness to start to unravel possibly a past experience, or to just give that education. Like, it might not be necessarily this traumatic experience. Two
Hmm.
people can experience the same situation. One can have that imprinted and compounded, and one may be able to process it within that moment. It is all within what our system, our actual physical nervous system, was able to process in that moment. If it was at capacity, it probably wasn't able to process, and then it gets compounded. If it was able to process, our chakras, our energy
Right.
systems, like, it was able to fully flow through. So the more events that we have, if we are at that emotional nervous system capacity, things start to get compounded and stuck within our bodies. So bringing in that root cause therapy approach as we get to those roots. Okay, where is, this root compounded within my chest? Oh, that anxiety might be, connected to that root. So,
Right.
because I mean, it could be years and years and years past,
Hmm.
and it's still actively living in our present life. And I feel like we so easily overlook that because of our present lives are so busy, to kind of pause, stop, and understand that our past still lives in our present. Like, yes,
Right.
it doesn't have to shape you, it doesn't have to define you, but it does still live in your present, and it's your responsibility to heal that.
I find it interesting that, so our perspectives of things change so much over the years, right? And I feel like sometimes what I hear people say, and I think we've discussed this before too, you have someone say in their 50s, and in the process of this healing, this situation comes up, this trauma that they experience, and they're like, well, it's not that big of a deal. I don't even know why I got so, hung up on that or so traumatized. Well, when you were 3,
Hmm.
it was a big deal,
Yeah.
right? So it can still be living in you, even though consciously at 50, you don't see that trauma as so traumatic,
Right.
right? Yeah. And I just find that really interesting because I think sometimes people are like, well, I'm older now. So, I mean, I don't think of this stuff this way. So I'm sure it just went away.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's hanging on a little. So many women struggle with breaking generational patterns, right? You see this all of the time. This is how mom did things. This is how grandma did things. This is how great grandma did things. How do you support clients in gently but powerfully releasing these inherited cycles? Like reminding them that they have permission, I guess is, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful question, and one that's very heavy, and it's very deep in it. I mean, because it really comes to that point of the compassion, because there might be weight there of not wanting to break a tradition, quote unquote,
Right.
or feeling that you would let someone down, or so it really depends on like what type of pattern or cycle, or what it is, if you're aware of it, that you're willing or wanting to break. But also to really just, again, bring that awareness into what is it? What is it? And if it is something possibly that you're not aware of, but you're like, okay, my great grandma struggled with anxiety, I'm just going to stick with anxiety. Great grandma
Hmm.
struggled with anxiety, and yeah, my grandma did too. Oh, my mom did too, and I do too. Like, to kind of see that type of cycle, and then to bring it within your present life, you could really pay attention to, okay, when am I triggered with my anxiety? What happens? What experiences? Is it a specific event that I go into, or
Sure.
like, what is that trigger, if you will, to really pay attention to what it is that's going on. So there's it's never black and white, right? And I know that you can agree with that. It's healing is never black and white. So there's a lot of different avenues that we can take. But it really is that education piece in terms of breaking down, consciously, we might be aware of something, but we might not be aware of something. And that's where the subconscious lies.
Right.
And that's where a lot of those generational patterns reside, is in that subconscious. And I really, if you agree with this, chime in here, because it's like, yes, our DNA, like, things get passed on through our DNA, things get passed
Sure.
on through that piece. I call it your subconscious. And I know that there's more
Mhm.
terms and this and
Sure,
everything,
sure.
but it's very much everything that we're not consciously seeing, right? So the
Right.
subconscious is the autonomic, what's going on, we don't have control over. Um, and that subconscious piece is a lot of times when we have these habitual patterns where you're like, okay, I'm 50 years old. Why am I still going to the fridge every night and eating this chocolate cake that's in my fridge? I don't want to be eating this chocolate cake. But by God,
Right.
for the past 30 years, it's given me the emotional escape. It's made me feel
Mhm.
good. So like the emotional, or maybe that reward, if you will, is greater than that conscious willpower of wanting to stop eating the damn chocolate cake, right? So it
Right.
really, you bring in
Yes.
that piece of, okay, why? Like, why am I going to this pantry? Because oh, I feel better. It gives me that escape. It's making
Mhm.
me feel comfort. And then we could kind of, unravel a little bit deeper once we kind of get to those roots.
Wow.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It does. And that brings me to another question too. I feel like I struggled with this question and early in my spiritual journey and my healing journey myself. I found myself doing some real spiritual bypassing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, it's good. I'm just going to go ahead and skip these last 10 years or so. We're just going to we're good, right? Because,
Yeah.
like, technically my age is past that. So, really, we'll just, I'm cool. Everything's good. And,
Yeah.
everything's perfect, right?
Who's that? Yeah.
So, what would you say the difference between true embodied healing and
Mhm.
spiritual bypassing, and how can we tell which path we're on? Like, what are some scenarios where it would look like one
Yeah.
versus the other?
Oh, great question. Okay, so you might have to reel me back in a little bit because there were a couple different points there. Uh,
Mhm,
so spiritual bypassing, I just want to paint an example quickly, is just think of a coping mechanism or a vice. If you
mhm.
feel yourself getting heightened or angry or anxious or, just feeling a feeling and grabbing for the credit card to go shopping to bypass to
Or the alcohol.
let's figure this, yeah, let's figure this later, or alcohol or gambling or food or whatever that might be, anything that you are allowing to shove under the rug and just stay distracted to get by. And we all do it. I still do. I like went to bed the other night and I was like, oh, I feel like I was in a little bit of a dissociation type thing. Like I was like looking at my planner for like 5 minutes and I'm like, whoa, like snap out of it. So, and that's one of my things to where it's like I zone out so much because it's like, all right, just come back, to center. So,
Mine used to be work. And as a
yeah.
Virgo, I was like, well, I am doing great because I'm working 3 jobs and da 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 da.
Uh-huh.
And I would work
Yes.
nonstop.
Yeah, I'm
And
a Virgo moon. So yeah.
I realized what I was doing.
Exactly. Exactly. It could be anything. So often, like drugs, alcohol, get that bad rap, quote unquote. And I'm not saying like they are, healthy by any means, but there are so many different porn, gambling, work. Like there could be so many different things that you are escaping your reality. And again, like sitting down and scrolling your phone or scrolling Netflix or whatever. Again, there's a time and place for things. So I'm not
Sure,
saying don't
sure.
do any of these things. I'm not
Right,
completely
right.
sober. I've healed tremendously. Like it's that awareness, right? So when it comes to that spiritual bypassing, to really just pay attention to when you do feel a hard emotion, to actually allow yourself to feel. And this is where the work comes in, to feel that emotion, because energy, or excuse me, emotions are energy in motion. So when we pull for that vice, we're stopping that motion to, complete its process.
Mhm.
There were a couple different questions within that question though. Guide me
There
back.
is, but, I just wanna make a comment real quick, and if we get to a place where we don't ever release those emotions, they start to wreak havoc in the body,
Yeah, yes.
and they start to build disease. I mean, it's one form or the other, whether it's inflammation, whether it's cancer, whether it's, but if we don't ever give ourselves the opportunity to release this, that's why the work that you do is so incredibly important. Yeah, the other part was, what does it look like? So we talked about what spiritual bypassing looks like, but what does it look like to be fully healed? So in the instance where somebody is working three jobs so they don't ever have to like focus on their
Yeah.
life themselves because they're too
Yeah.
busy. I mean, they don't have time to like go inward, right? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, gotta go back to work,
Yeah.
or I gotta work late. Like, what would someone that has went through a lot of this healing working with you, what would, how would that look different?
Okay. Okay. So first is to give yourself permission, the invitation, the acceptance that we cannot fully like heal our way out of being human, right? Like
Mhm.
deep breaths. Like we're never going to be perfect, right? That
Amen.
is,
Amen. Can you say that one more time?
we can never heal our way out of being human. We can never fully be perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, think of the
Thank
infinity
you.
symbol. This was something that I bring in all the time for my instinctive meditation certification. They call it syzygy, and it's a union of opposites, and they picture this infinity symbol. So let's
Hmm.
put in emotions here, right? The ebbs and flows of life. The, you feel anxious and you feel at calm. You feel angry and you feel joy. Like you're always going to be ebbing and flowing through seasons of life. The thing is if you want to bring it from a nervous system standpoint, going back to kind of what we were talking about from the beginning, is when we make space within our nervous system, when we've done some healing work, when we have processed some compounded energy, possibly went through energy healing, Reiki, root cause therapy, or different modalities, meditation, journaling, automatic writing. There's a lot of ways to bring calm and regulate, quote unquote, that nervous system to bring that space to when shit does hit the fan, it's 5 minutes or a few hours versus a day or a week that you're like
Okay.
up and out. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
really creating that space, giving your body that safety. I'm feeling anxious right now. Not so much. This is something I'm working with my kids. They're 6 and 3. You're not a bad kid, you did something bad. Or you're not naughty,
Yes.
you acted not, I mean, I don't even really say naughty, like, because they call each other naughty. I was like, stop calling each other naughty. So that was a bad example. But like speaking to an adult, like, you are feeling anxious or I am feeling angry. Like, because again, your subconscious mind, it's very generalized. So consciously, you're like, okay, I'm an angry person. But to
Hmm.
your subconscious, like that's an identity that you possibly can be forming. So just little shifts in how you talk to yourself. It doesn't have to
That's
be,
so big.
yeah, it doesn't have to be the woo affirmations, which are very powerful, but just those
Hmm.
little tweaks of the perspectives of I'm feeling anxious right now. So that's one example. Another one is to actually allow yourself to be. We call it fivers within our house. I've used it from the very beginning. I've never liked the word timeout, but it's the same thing. It's just not like a discipline. It's like, hey, let's go take a fiver. Let's breathe. Let's maybe possibly figure out like you're obviously angry, but what happened? Or you're obviously feeling a certain feeling. Let's breathe through this for a minute to actually come back down and then we'll talk. So there's a lot of different practices that you can do, but the most important is to understand and give yourself that permission that you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to not feel angry. You're never going to not feel stress or overwhelm or anxiety. It's having those tools to know that you're safe through those hard feelings when you do feel them and then how to process them.
Yes, it is so incredible. I think the words "you are not bad" is so important. I feel like so often, so many of us as kids just adapted that, right? Like they're
Yeah.
like, well, if I do this, I'm bad,
Yeah.
or if I have this feeling, I'm bad, or if
Mhm.
I'm crying in public, I'm bad. So just having that permission and that recognition that like just because you're feeling an emotion, you're not bad. There's no judgment on it.
Hmm.
I think that's what's so incredible about how you show up in a sacred space, creating a sacred space for people. I just one or two more questions and then
Yeah.
we'll let you go. But so, what is something you wish that every woman knew deep in her bones about her? I know one
Put me
thing
on the
is
spot.
hard, but like, what is something like your daughter, for instance, that when you really think about the people that you truly care about, what is something you wish that they knew beyond about, you know, what am I trying to say? Beyond a shadow of a doubt, like that
Yeah.
they knew.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant question. And I do know the answer. It came in and then you said daughter, and I was like, yep, because this is what I tell my children. If I could teach them, so I mean, this is probably universal, my universal truth, like this is my mission on in this lifetime is to teach you. I'm trying to like reword it for my kids, right? Because this is what I tell my kids. But to have the unshakable self-love for yourself. And what I mean by that, like the self-love, love yourself unconditionally. Okay, like buzzword, whatever. What does that mean? Break this down. To love yourself is to take the time to connect with you, to connect to what those inner whispers are within you, to trust yourself above
Mhm.
anyone else, to believe, like, ooh, this feeling I'm feeling in my body, it's trying to tell me something. It's trying to tell me something. I'm going to trust this feeling versus what this person next to me is telling me. Or and to have that confidence, right? Because we're all going to meet different people and not get along
Yes.
with everyone and possibly have a crap day at work or get fired or whatever. Like we're always going to have, ups and downs. Just be confident in who you are. So that
Mhm.
self-love is like this umbrella for belief and trust and confidence and connection with yourself.
Wow. I think that, I would recommend to everyone to rewind this and re listen again because I feel like this would really help you just in today's world as well. We
Mhm.
have so many news outlets coming at every second. We have so much information being bombarded at us 24/7. And something I try to teach my children too is just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's real,
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's truth.
Well, in
Really.
AI, oh gosh, don't even get me started.
Yes.
Like, what's real? What's not? What's this? I want truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, really learning to trust yourself, I think, is so freaking important. I think really taking that pause too, because it's really hard to really check in with what we feel about something when we're going 900 miles an hour, right? Like, because we could totally mistake it for a million other things. But if we do take a minute, just a pause and just be like, okay, what am I feeling in this moment?
Mhm.
Does this feel like truth to me?
Yes, exactly.
It's just incredible. So, Jenna, if you can let everybody know how they would go about booking an appointment with you, what services you offer, what your contact information is, and how they can find you, that would be great.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. So my website is naturalempoweredliving.com. I'm on Instagram every now and again, but website naturalempoweredliving.com. Instagram is naturally empowered living. My podcast is also naturally empowered living. And yeah, my I have like one of those link tree things. So that's on my Instagram, and I mean that's where you can find my website and my booking links, but the website is essentially where it's at.
Okay. And you have a newsletter as well, right?
Yes. Yep, I do have a newsletter. It essentially goes out every week, just like dropping the podcast. And then if there's any big events, announcements, or anything like that, yeah, just to stay connected within the world. Because again, there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and any support that we can get would be, I mean, appreciated for sure. Thank you so much for that. So, wow. I'm so grateful. What a powerful and soul nourishing conversation that was. I mean, Jenna reminded us that healing isn't about perfection. One more time.
Mm.
Healing isn't about perfection.
Oh, hot
It's
and
about integration. It's
yeah.
about loving ourselves through the layers, through the discomfort, and through the remembering of who you have always been. If something stirred in you today, trust that it's your soul speaking. This journey back to self, back to wholeness is sacred, and you are so worthy of walking it fully and freely. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Sacred Soul Sisters podcast. I'm so grateful you're here, part of this ever expanding circle of light. Be sure to follow Jenna on Instagram. Be sure to sign up for her newsletter, visit her website, book an appointment with her. All of those will be on her Naturally Empowered Living website, and the links are in the show notes below. Until next time, may you walk with grace. Remember your power and know that you are always guided, you're always protected, and you are very, very deeply loved. With all my heart, Justina. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick second and say thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And I want to take a minute and ask for a quick favor. If when you're listening to an episode, if you could please just take a second, place your hand on your heart and take a deep breath in through your nose and a long exhale out of your mouth, and just set the intention to send love and light to every single person listening right now, yesterday, and in the future. I think together we just might be able to raise the vibration of this world. I'm so excited. And please follow me on Instagram at Angel Reiki Journey. Visit my website to book an appointment with me at angelreikijourney.com. And please follow this podcast, Sacred Soul Sisters. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Have a great day.